So often, Easter Sunday is a time when we look at the resurrection of Christ rightfully, and we will get there. But I thought I would do a different take this year, and go before the Easter event, and look at look at Isaiah 53. It's a passage which hundreds of years before the coming of Jesus spoke about a servant who was to come. And so often I think we're so familiar with all that Jesus did and said. I mean, we've had 2,000 years of reflection and thinking and praising and mulling and debating over the whole significance of Jesus and all that he achieved. That we're very much in that mindset of looking backwards, perhaps, from a place of just profound depth of knowledge. But Isaiah 53 is a passage that looks forward in time to a mysterious figure, to a figure that is undefined, to a person who is unclear and enigmatic, and the borders are fuzzy. And God has given this insight into a person who will come, who will provide a solution to things. And it's like I mean, when I go with my kids sometimes into a place we've never been before, especially when they were young, in the car, and we'll be driving for hours, and you know what's going to come, right? Are we there? Are we there? Are we there yet? And Dad, can we stop for a toilet break? But they don't know what the end destination is like. We've described it to them. Again, they've got a blurred sort of outline, but there's this mixture of impatience and uncertainty and hope all tied up in one that will finally be revealed in the destination. But while we're still on the journey, they're in this place of in-between things. And so Isaiah 53 is a tantalizing promise. And as you work through the book of Isaiah, more towards the end of the book, there's this beginning to be revealed the person of a character that is called the servant. And because he is so fuzzy in what is said about him, there's been so much debate about exactly who he actually was. And some people said, oh, it's the nation of Israel. And other people said, oh, it's a foreign king. And other people say, no, it's a prophet. But this person, this person does what no human can do. And so as we work through it, I want to just look at some of the things in this passage today. So if you have your Bibles, turn to Isaiah 53. Who has believed our message? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? And so we'll stop there. Where Isaiah starts is a question. He's asking a question, will anyone believe the things I'm about to share? Will anyone actually understand it, or accept it, or comprehend it? Who can believe this message? Is kind of a place that he starts off from. It is so compellingly different from anything one might expect that the passage starts with who is actually going to receive this. And why he's saying that is found in the next sentence. To whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Now, kind of all good so far, because the Bible is full of expressions that speak of the strong arm of God. Right throughout the Old Testament, there is a lot of phrases around the mighty arm of God, the power of God personified, who will accomplish great things. And so if you go back to the Exodus story, where God mightily intervenes and rescues this bunch of slaves from under the Egyptian yoke of slavery. So often, God's arm is linked to the mighty bursting out of the shackles of slavery. In Exodus 6 and Deuteronomy 4:34 and others. The arm of the Lord is when God powers up. It's when God amps up, when God shows strength and might and force, if you like. And so Isaiah leads with that here. But check out what follows. Verse 2. He grew up before him like a mighty strong hurricane, all-conquering, rock-crushing. No. He grew up before him like a tender shoot, like a root out of dry ground. The experts tell us this is probably one of those little shoots that grow up from trees that you don't cost. I've got a cherry tree just a few weeks ago. I had to get my secateurs and cut all this growth coming up from the bottom where I didn't want growth coming up from the bottom. Tiny little sprouts of things that you could break off with your fingers. That is what they say is probably being referred to here as one of those little shoots that grow up from a tree which is just pointless, fragile, tiny. God's power was going to be shown in something fragile. Like a little plant struggling to live in dry ground. Unattractive. Overlooked. So unexpected. And I can't help thinking as I read this of Jesus at Easter. When he says, I could call down legions of angels. But the power that he had was not used to summon armies. It was used to endure and bear and persevere. Isaiah goes on to talk more about this strong, weak person who was coming after. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him. Nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised and we held him in low esteem. I was once following after a bus. You know how buses have advertising on them, on the back of them? They go around the city and they advertise things. This particular advertising on the back of this bus that I saw one day was for a TV show. And it had a picture on the right-hand side of this beautiful woman. She was stunning. Makeup was perfect, lipstick shone like cherries, her hair was so soft and smooth. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman. And on the other side of the picture, there was a picture of another woman who had warts on her face. And her hair was stringy. And she had wrinkles and blotches and 3 chins. And underlying both of these graphics was the line that said, "Are these even the same species?" And it was advertising a show that was all about glitz and glamour and so on. This servant was firmly on the left-hand side. He was going to be someone that people would look at and think he's one of the losers in life. Losers who managed to live, right? He was one who was so unremarkable. It wasn't that he was ugly, that's not the force of what he's saying here. It was that he was so unremarkable, he was overlooked. No one would even notice him. He was on the left-hand side of that graphic. And people, if they ever did look at him, would point the finger and say, man, he's a loser. Despised, rejected by mankind. The commentator says this: the revelation of the arm of the Lord that will deliver the Lord's people is met with shock, astonishment, distaste, dismissal, and avoidance. And I can't help but think again of Easter, where the crowds who had praised him on one day couldn't bear to look at him on the other. Isaiah goes on to the picture on the back of the bus, but this time he reworks it. And it's like he's saying all of us are on the right-hand side, the beautiful side. And the only person on the left-hand side now is Jesus, because he starts this he and us, he and us, he and us, all through the next passage. He took up our pain. He was pierced for our transgressions. The beauty on the right-hand side of the bus was, lo and behold, only there because of what happened on the left-hand side of the bus. This is an amazing plot twist. All that the suffering the servant had, all the problems, the things that made him a loser in life, it wasn't his pain. It wasn't his messiness. It was our pain, our messiness, our sin. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we consider him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. And this language of bearing, right? He bore our suffering is sacrificial language. It is words straight out of the sacrifice handbook, where an animal that is going to be brought to the priest bears the sin, carries the guilt of the offering. He is sacrificial person in our place. Pierced for our transgressions, crushed for our iniquities. Strong words. Strong words. One commentator says that the words for being pierced here is the strongest word in Hebrew for a violent and excruciating death. When you hear the word crushed, it means pulverized, broken into a million pieces, is the force of what is being said here. And again, I can't help but think of Easter on the cross, where his body was so broken and so pulverized. Let's keep on going through it. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. I have mixed feelings about sheep. Do any of you come from farms, sheep farms? Oh yeah, Adrian. You've probably got mixed feelings about sheep as well. Sheep are stupid. They are so stupid. They seem to think only about their stomachs and their safety, right? And they will go wherever the next clump of grass is. But on the other side, they're really cute. I spent a lot of time on farms because I had cousins on farms when I was growing up. And one of my cousins had a sheep called Luke, who was his pet. And this sheep was beautiful. If you look at the face of a sheep, you just can't help but go, oh, that's lovely, it's gorgeous. And so what's going on here is that Isaiah does the same thing. He takes the bad of sheep and the good qualities of sheep. Firstly, with the bad, we all like sheep have gone away because we're stupid, right? We've turned to our own way. But the servant is all the good qualities. He is a lamb, a sheep, that would lead away and was silent. He did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter. Like a sheep before its shearers is silent, he did not open his mouth. By oppression and his judgment, he was taken away. And you can't help thinking again of Jesus at Easter. As he stood beaten and whipped before the authorities, he did not open his mouth. Did not plead his own case, though he could have and he should have possibly. I hear resonances here with Philippians chapter 2. He made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself, becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. And as people who read this prophecy from Isaiah, I wonder if they were thinking, why? I mean, why is this guy doing all this stuff? What's the purpose? Why would he put himself in the place of sinners? Was it just an accident of history? Was he in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or what? And the final section answers this. Verse 10 and 11. Yet, and that's an emphatic yet, it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. God purposed for Jesus to be our sacrifice. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident of history. The twisted, forgotten, broken man was made that way by God for us. His life was an offering made by God for us. And in fact, we know that it was, in fact, God for us. There's a story told about it comes from America. It's a story of an Indian tribe who was suffering from the effects of a severe drought. Food was scarce. The members of the tribe were beginning to steal from each other in order to survive. And the chief knew that if this continued, it would be the death of the tribe. And so he issued a law that the next person caught stealing would be taken to the centre of the village and whipped against a big post that was standing there with 20 lashes. And the next day, sure enough, a thief was caught. And everyone turned to see who the thief was. And to everyone's shock, the thief was in fact the chief's own mother, who'd been caught stealing. And so the question went around the tribe, what would he do? Would he uphold justice, or would he let justice go? How does justice and love fit together? She was old and frail. The beating could very well kill her. And they knew the chief loved her. So what did he do? And so the next morning, on the morning of the flogging, they watched as he ordered her wrists being tied to the pole so the beating could begin. And the man came up with the whip, but he called the punisher to stop, and he himself stepped forward. And he gave his mum a big hug, wrapping his arms around her body as she was wrapped around the pole. And he asked the whipping to begin. And the cords of the whip fell for the 20 lashes, but they fell on him as he covered his mother's body, absorbing the brunt of the penalty and suffering through it. A combination both of justice carried out but love shown. 1 Peter 2, he himself bore our sins in his body on the cross so that we might die to sin and live for righteousness. Now, on Resurrection Sunday, I love where Isaiah 53 ends. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. Isn't that remarkable? Death would not be the final story, end of the story. Even in Isaiah 53, hundreds of years before, death would not be the end. I will give him a portion among the great. This is after he'd been killed. Divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured his life out unto death. And again, go back to Philippians. Therefore what? Taking the very nature of the servant, but therefore he exalted. Every knee will bow, every tongue confess. The death for the servant was not the end. And so I wonder this morning, just in closing, have you made this personal for yourself? If someone 700 years before his death and resurrection look at that with hope and anticipation and yet so much mystery and fuzziness, for us who see him clearly as we look back and see this figure Jesus who was all this and did all this, with that clarity, what will you do with it? Will you let the Lord wrap his arms around you personally and take the punishment that should be yours? Let the justice fall on him for your sin and your life, in order that he may bring you into a relationship with God. That is the invitation of Resurrection Sunday for us today. And it's a wonderful invitation. I'm so sorry, I'm going to give you another song I wrote this morning. It's a song that I wrote about the road to Emmaus, and then on the screen in a second. It's a song about those who will overcome with confusion and pain, but how Resurrection Sunday changed all of that. And so I invite you to watch and listen and pray that in as you do.
The sun, it was blazing down on our heads. Grief, it was welling like fountains, drowning. Everything precious was dead. The dust rose to meet us with each foot we placed. The road to Emmaus seemed endless, friendless, traveling in bitter-hued haste. Oh, we thought he was something. Oh, but something was lost. Why do we fly when we only fall down harder? Faith that's misplaced only twist the knife in deeper. We thought that Jesus was the one all waited for. Hope was our heartbeat, hope doesn't beat anymore. And then beside us a traveler appeared, walking the road to Emmaus. With us, let's walk together, he said. Seeing our faces etched with his pain, he asked, what is troubling your heart so? Don't you know the one they call Jesus is dead? Oh, we thought he was something. Oh, and then came the cross. Why do we fly when we only fall down harder? Faith that's misplaced only twist the knife in deeper. We thought that Jesus was the one all waited for. Hope was our heartbeat, hope doesn't beat anymore. And then the traveler said with a smile, are you so slow to remember? Remember words long written, glimpses given, Spirit speaking, flesh, heart raising, nations praising, death defeated, all completed in the cross. Hope in this hope, rise on wings like eagles. Faith, let this faith strengthen hands made feeble. Life has come to life, and death could not contain. Let your hope beat again. Then giving thanks to the Father above, He gave us bread He had broken. It's like we've awoken. Is this Jesus? Yes, it's Jesus. Then He leaves us in awe. Were not our hearts burning, burning?